Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tonka Talk. I'm Natalie, and we share the ways people create community and connection all around Lake Minnetonka. And today I get to chat with Andrew Myers, who is our local representative in the House of Representatives. So you are like our representative around Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah, I'm represent District 45A, and it's 11 cities around Lake Minnetonka.
Wow, okay.
So, a good size area, which I like because it's, every city kind of has different things going on. So kind of one big community, but small little ones in between.
It is. That describes it well. It's a large community around Lake Minnetonka, but there's so many small cities that they're all like these individual worlds all around.
Oh, yeah. Very different.
I feel like Lake Minnetonka could be its own planet in ways because there's different cities and everybody comes together.
Good reality show.
Exactly. It would be a good one. Now, tell me, one thing I'm most curious about is what made you decide one day, you know what, I think I'm going to get involved in politics?
Well, I try not to call it politics. I try to call it public service.
Public service.
Yes. I started out in Minnetonka Beach, was on the planning commission, became the planning chair, and then became a council member. I had people in my community reaching out, asking me, hey, we would love, somebody that has a younger family to help represent the other younger families in the community. So served there, and then actually became a, Parks and Docks chair in Tonka Bay. Mm-hmm. And then one day I got a phone call from somebody in the House of Representatives, said, hey, you've been doing some good things around the community, and, we'd love for you to run for Minnesota House. And I, had a rough idea what it was, but I had to say, well, what does that include? Because I've got, 4 little kids and trying to run a business. So, I thought it was a way for me to, kind of do what I was doing at a, city council level at a, little larger level.
Mm-hmm. Did the person who told you what it would be like, did you find that to be accurate, or were you like, okay, you did not prepare me for this?
I guess I'll be honest. I think the person that told me about it wasn't very accurate. So when I'm always telling people about what I do, and if they're looking to get involved in things, I want them to be really honest, because there is a good amount of balance that you have to have between your own personal life, public service, and then I run a small business, so you've got to be able to balance that stuff out. But, I always push people into, serving in their local communities. I mean, we have, 11 great communities out here. You can be on the planning, parks, a lot of different communities that, to make an impact.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. And you've been doing it now since 2023?
Yep. So I am a new member. We just finished the first session, and we've started up here with our second session. Mm-hmm. We are, this is the start of the third week.
Wow.
So
that's exciting. Yeah. So now that you've gone that far and you've had that experience, where does that compare to what you thought it would be like when you were first going to get started?
The biggest thing for me was actually trying to represent my district, which means you really got to go and talk to a lot of people and people that don't think like you, people that think differently, because you're, the job of public service is to represent the entire community. So, I thought I did that really well, went down to the legislature, and again, I really try hard down there, working with Democrats, Republicans, to make sure that, the bill is coming forward. If I have an idea or I had an amendment, that I can bring that forward to build the relationships. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you kind of have to keep trying.
That's, I think, what I find so interesting about what you do is the challenge and the follow through on working with people that don't share all of your same ideals. You are by no means working in an echo chamber of yes, 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 yes.
Yep.
How, and there's probably a longer answer to this, but what are some tips that you have for doing that? Because even people who are not in public service, maybe they, you share in a community. It could be an HOA. You could be a business in a chamber. And the same kind of thing would apply where you want to work together, but, you don't all share the same ideals.
Yeah. So, you talk about HOA, like, for example, I sit on the housing committee, and, there's a representative from St. Paul, and I really made sure to go and speak with him to better understand the housing issues they have in St. Paul, which are very different than the housing issues that we have here, around the lake in these communities. And so, what's maybe good for his district isn't maybe good for my district, but what's good for mine may not be good for his. So I want to, we want to better understand each other and what we're trying to support. At the end of the day, you're making votes that not only impact, your backyard, but the backyard of Minnesota. And so you want to make sure that you're talking to people, from different areas.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think you also have to have that personality and demeanor where have a willingness to hear what might be considered to be an opposing side.
Yep.
And I think that's something that you've really been able to do in the short time that I've kind of gotten to know you and familiar with your work. That's what impresses me so much about our very local public servants is it seems that you all are kind of good at that. Of course, there's exceptions, but that it is a focus because I've heard Kelly Morrison share the same thing.
Yep.
And our area is considered to be a very, what do they call it? Purple?
Yep.
A purple district. So how do you go about doing those things? You were very key in getting the ball going, and it's still going on to get Mound a water treatment plant. Can you give an update on that?
Yeah. I mean, again, as you're out there talking to people and you go door to door and I always kind of had a question I'd ask everybody, what's your priority? And when you walk through Mound, even before you got up to the door, you'd look in the garage and you'd see cases of bottled water.
Yeah.
You'd see people with Culligan. And, even before I getting to the door, I knew that was probably going to be one of the top priorities, dealing with the issues that they have here for clean, accessible water. So, working, across the aisle to, draft a bill to get partial funding for that was really important. I sit on the Capital Investment Committee and I learned a lot in that, but what happened is you built the relationships. You could focus on that priority of clean water. We secured just over $10 million for the project and we're hopeful. It's a bigger issue. I've even tried to reach out to Governor Walz to try to make sure that he's really aware of it because he has a priority list as well. I want to try to do everything I can to advocate for my cities.
Yeah, definitely. And for people, if you don't know, Mound has a high amount of it's manganese. Correct?
Yep.
And it's advised to not drink the water. So residents do have to have an alternative for that. And so do you think this is something that'll be like a year or in 2 years? Because not only does the money needs to be raised, but it needs to be built.
Yeah. And I think, the project is being done in phases. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 phases, but, we're hopeful with another potential bonding bill this year. It's not going to be as much as next year. That opportunity is going to be there for additional funds. But, I think like any of these projects, it does take a teamwork between the cities, the community, in the state. I'd really like to see in some of the bonding a higher priority on our infrastructure needs, roads, bridges, water. That's the stuff that's, really important. Yeah.
You were also involved. What are some of the, what you've done because I would feel like if I were in public office, I would have a hard time focusing on which project to take on first, but you've done a few already. What is 1 or 2 where you're like, I'm so glad that we did that because it's helping today?
Yeah. A couple of things, being a new member, kind of in the minority, you kind of, have to build those relationships to hopefully get some stuff across the aisle and into law. One of those was, we had a Keep It Clean initiative. Environment's really big for my district, my family. I mean, we love to, be out on the lake, be, snowmobile, ice fish, just fishing. I mean, my kids love to fish as much as they can, but, it was something simple that, our local litter laws on the street, you couldn't enforce them on the water. And this Keep It Clean initiative came out in greater Minnesota through people that ice fish a lot. They have those RVs and, they're dumping waste. And when I mean waste, yes, sometimes it's poo. But they're out there.
Just right on the ice.
Yeah. They'll dump
open up that black tank and let it just.
Yeah. And up there, it's known as the Brown Road.
Wow.
Which is, again, I mean, it's disgusting, but let alone, people that are just leaving their trash out there. So now DNR can go out there and write a fine for that so that people can be a little bit more aware and accountable for that. Because, we've got to make sure both from an economic aspect and environmental aspect that we're taking care of our water. The impact it has, locally and throughout the state is really important. So, I was really proud of getting that initiative done.
So now people can actually be ticketed for it, which they couldn't before. And this is year round?
Yep, it's year round. It's, we had a heavy focus on ice fishing because it started up in Upper Red Lake with the people that I'm working with. But, we see it. I mean, the DNR, when they post, during wintertime, maybe not this winter because it hasn't been that cold, but, you see when an ice house is removed and all the garbage that's left underneath. So what happens is, local organizations or people are left cleaning that up, when the ice melts. People that are cleaning their local beaches, it washes up. It all has an impact on, wildlife and, the water in our district.
Yeah. I'm so glad because that is so disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
So disheartening, though it does seem that if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, last 4th of July, there was less garbage that was cleaned up on Lake Minnetonka compared to years prior.
Yep.
So it's good. You hope then it's going in that direction of, like you said, you wouldn't think that we'd have to educate people on that you should not put your poo on the ice or in the lake.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was, it wasn't a groundbreaking idea, but it was just something that we could just take from our roads over to our water. Because again, I mean, the outdoors in Minnesota is unmatched and something small like this can make a big impact.
That's very true. Is there anything that you're working on that's coming up that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, we do have a lot of infrastructure issues in these 11 communities, but, kind of, again, the jewel of the district is, Lake Minnetonka, and we're really trying to focus on, we had a good boater safety bill passed last year, but the Lake Minnetonka Conservation District is always looking to ways to, improve safety on the lake. So we have a Minnetonka license plate bill that we're doing.
Oh, wow. So like a decorative license plate.
Yep. So
specific to Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah, so it's one of the busiest lakes in the state. And I think, we're proud of that. And we want to take care of it. So, the fund generated from that will go towards boater safety on that lake, education. So we're excited about that. Hopefully we can get it across the finish line.
When do you think we'd be able to start ordering those if it gets approved?
I think it's going to be probably in the fall to do that. I know that Senator Morrison is carrying it in the Senate. It's very appreciative of that. And, hope to get a hearing in the House. So we'll see what happens.
Well, that's exciting. I would like one of those. That would be a ton of fun, actually.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you get people from Maple Grove, Rogers, I mean, south of the city that come out to Lake Minnetonka. So.
And then the money can go to help also take care of that natural resource.
Yep.
So how do you run a small business, you're working in the House of Representatives, you've got, was it 4 kids?
Yep.
Married, 4 kids. So what do you do on all the downtime that you have?
My downtime is probably getting kids to swimming, picking them up from soccer, trying to spend as much time as I can with my wife, Amanda. But yeah, just trying to we're homebodies. So we're, just trying to, enjoy each other and you watch the kids grow up. And, we're a big part of Minnetonka schools, supporting their, education is really important to us. So,
yeah. What would you say if somebody in the community wanted to start getting involved in public service? What advice would you give them?
I would try to figure out, there's going to be a lot of openings coming up. As I said, there's going to be council spots and mayors and planning chair. I mean, some of them are elected, some are appointed. Find that thing that, you want to do or you think you can make an impact. But you got to be willing to learn, have that humility. I think that's the biggest thing that I've really tried to bring forward is that humility, because there's so many things down there that come across my desk that, you have people at the Capitol telling you, oh, this is good. This is good. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to make some phone calls back to my district, to people in my district to say, what do you think? And, example of that is we had something that was going to impact our local firefighters. So, I was on the phone with our fire chiefs to make sure that what I was being told was accurate. And it was, but I think doing that legwork, investing the time, and if you're going to participate in your community, it is investing that time. I mean, it's making sure that you're listening to people, and you're not going to make everybody happy. I mean, however much you kind of want to, it's really, though, if you're listening and respecting each other, helping, reduce that divide, I think we can, get some really good policies locally.
Yeah. Do you find that part of it of, working this way and doing the different initiatives and projects that you've been involved in, not like you said, you can't make everybody happy all of the time.
Yep.
How has it been when you come across, or, as we like to say, come across the haters
Yep.
in having to deal with that? What is that like? Are you a Minnesotan looking to escape the Minnesota winter, wanting to head to a tropical destination? Well, an unoccupied house is a vulnerable home. That's why here at Shortlist Properties, we don't just help you buy or sell real estate. We have a Snowbird division, a Snowbird concierge dedicated to using an extensive checklist to keep an eye on your home while you're away enjoying yourself. So you don't need to worry about frozen pipes, potential water damage, or mold. Our Snowbird concierge can even restock your fridge before you return or drive your car to preserve the battery. Have peace of mind while you're away. Visit shortlistproperties.com to learn more about our Minnesota Snowbird services.
Yeah, I mean, and I would look at that twofold. It could be, from people in the district. It could be other legislators. I mean, my biggest thing is, if it's down at the legislature, if I have an amendment idea and it doesn't work out, that's fine. I'm still going to bring forward other amendments to try to, share how I think that's going to impact the bill in a, better way. And hopefully, people are willing to listen. I know on the bills that I have drafted that have passed, I've, worked with anybody and everybody that's willing to support it. And, that having that bipartisan is really important.
Yeah.
Back in the community, of course, you're talking to people that just assume you're a certain type of person.
Yeah.
Until you have the conversation and you realize that, locally we're going to the same stores, our kids go to the same school, we may go to, out to dinner at the same place. Just trying to find that common ground, which I think, most of the time by the end of it, people are, you agree 70 to 80% of the time. And that's what we really need to focus on.
Yeah. It does seem that way. I think people are so much more, we have more in common than we think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And finding that common ground. Do you think that that's easier to do on a more hyper local level as opposed to, national politics? I feel like we don't see a lot of that, but do you think because these are really boots on the ground, right, in these communities, and you live there and you know what's going on, that there's more of an effort to work together in a bipartisan way?
Yeah, I mean, you use a phrase I use a lot, boots on the ground. For me, again, going back to that humility, I've got to go talk to, if it's an education piece, I've, built relationships with our superintendents and our teachers, those boots on the ground that I need to know, hey, is this idea going to make it worse or better for our schools and our kids and our teachers? Nationally, I guess the frustration is people are covering such large areas that they can't really build relationships. They can't go and door knock and have conversations with 15,000 different houses, when you've got to go and do 100,000 houses and there's no possible way to really, build the support, better understand what the priorities are. So national politics to me, I don't watch it. That's not something where I can make an impact. The impact I can make is locally.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that. And hopefully more people who want to see change will get involved and have that same kind of an idea. Because so many cities, because you've got your city council, but you also have other committees and things that people can work on, right? Like the planning commission and whatnot.
And it's good. I started in planning, so I got a really good idea of, how my city's zoning works. And then you also learn from other cities, and sharing some of those ideas can make, efficiencies for other cities as well. And so, not one person has all, the ideas and the answers. So the more that you can share with people, the better.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
Are there things that you're working on right now in the area, especially around Lake Minnetonka, that people should be aware of or look forward to?
Yeah. We'd like to, focus on some, property tax relief options. I've heard that a lot at the doors, for, young families that maybe can't, afford a house, trying to look at housing affordability, for the, those older people on fixed incomes, trying to make sure if they want to stay in their house, they can afford to do it. We do have a lot of infrastructure issues from, I think probably 9 out of my 11 cities all have infrastructure needs. And so, and I've been there as a city council member. We had an issue with a water tower or a water plant, but there's a lot of, roads and sewer and just clean water issues I'd like to see if I can help out with.
Yeah, those are important things that we kind of take for granted, I think, as a resident. I turn on the water will come out, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But you make a good point. A lot of this infrastructure has been around for an incredibly long time.
And that was, sitting on capital investment, I got to, tour the state in a bus for, I don't know what it was, 15 days. But, what I really enjoyed was having, Chair Lee come out that, runs the capital investment committee to come look at our district because I think there's everybody thinks that everybody lives on the lake here.
Yeah.
And so when they show up and they look at some of these projects in the area, I think it helps them to better understand that. So I was happy to be able to show them my community, my backyard, and some of the issues that we face.
I love that. That's so important, I think, too, like you're saying, to be able to reach out to people who work at a higher level, that work on a even more localized level, and have some kind of consistency with what the goals should be or what they are moving forward. And like I said, there's so many that I'm often amazed when that can be narrowed down. How does that decision get made for you? Is it primarily what you hear from the people in your district?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, certain elected leaders that are just walking the party line. Maybe they read the rubber stamps and stuff. I mean, for me, it's really important in this district to be looking to, as you said, those boots on the ground, but that also means community leaders. I hosted a town hall for all our elected leaders to talk about some housing issues and some other issues to get their feedback, because I knew there were bills that were going to be coming to impact kind of local control. And so it was really important for me to hear their feedback, give them the opportunity. And again, I consistently just try to, as things come forward, who can I talk to in our district? How does it impact us? And not that it's, doesn't impact other districts differently, but at least gives me a sense of, those everyday things.
Yeah. It's really, I love that you do that, though, that if there's something with the fire department, that you call the fire chiefs.
Yeah.
Go find out. Don't just assume.
Well, and it's, I maybe have 4 kids in school, but I'm not an expert in education. So, I've got to call those. But I mean, and the nice thing is, though, but I'm also having, building those relationships. I'll get text messages within a committee saying, oh, I know you're hearing this bill soon. I want to give you some feedback. So having that openness, I think, is really helpful for me because it makes me, produce policies or represent my district better. Not that I always agree, and there's always questions to be had, and it's okay to push back. You just got to do it respectfully and then try to, as I said, find that common ground where you can have a bill, like some education bills we have where we agree on it 80%.
What do you think moving forward? What do you see in the future? Do you see yourself doing more in the House of Representatives or doing something different in terms of public service?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest
president.
No, as I said to people, I like to be married.
Yeah,
I like to see my kids. I mean, and it's tough. I mean, my kids are having a Chinese New Year event tomorrow, and we'll have session till 6-7 o'clock. So I'll miss those, and those are tough. To miss. What I want to just try to do is be around so that people have those opportunities to share those things that are important to them, share those priorities so that I know it's, my family is just one family. The more families I can talk to, the business owners, community leaders, all I have right now is to, I love representing this district. The people are great. Raising your kids here is awesome. The schools are great here. We're very lucky. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come. I hope that you come back and talk with us again and share more about that side of things, what we can look for in Lake Minnetonka. I'm really looking forward to the mountain water treatment plant and seeing more, a cleaner lake. I love that one that you did where people can now be ticketed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is so great.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with us. Anybody listening or watching, if you have questions, you can comment down below, depending on where you're watching this. Is there a way where people could reach you as well?
Yep. So I will do this, and my wife doesn't like that I do this, but my cell phone number is 612-615-8444. It's really important to me. I mean, part of public service is being accessible so people can, get a hold of you. If that text message, great. If you need to give me a phone call, I get a lot of phone calls. Our district is very active. So people are really sharing their thoughts, which again is awesome. I mean, it really helps me to, represent the district better. So, and I'm excited for you. I'm hoping you're maybe going to run for one of these positions with all your free time.
Exactly. It's something that I think would be very meaningful, and it would be a really neat experience.
It is.
I just don't know that, it's just having it, because I would imagine sometimes you have to use more decorum and keep your mouth shut. And I think I would struggle with that.
Well, I mean, but you know what? And that's the thing, as my wife says, she's like, "Oh, Andrew, you talk too much. You get yourself in trouble." And I said, but that's okay. I mean, the more spitballing we do, the better ideas that we come up with. And it's like, not every person has the best ideas, but at least share them and it can build into something.
Yeah, exactly. Build it on, one idea might turn into something else when you get enough input.
Yep.
I love that. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Thanks for everything you're doing for the community.
Thank you. I enjoy doing it. And if you listen or watch Tonka Talk and you know someone doing cool things in the community, ways of creating community and connection, do reach out. You can reach me, Natalie, at tonkatalk.com. In the meantime, everybody, go have a great day, and we will talk to you later.